let's flip a coin. Head Carolina, tails California, somewhere greener, somewhere warmer.
Hello, it's Andy Graham of hoboontheroad.com. I'm in Malta. I've traveled non-stop for 16 plus years and went to 101 countries. This is my 101st country, and I ask questions from travelers as they ask questions. I'll try to show you some of the background as I do it. I'm on Julian Bay right now. Okay, Jim S. says, "Hey Andy, I've been watching your videos and chuckling to myself on your frustrations with Europe. I found you by doing research on Lago Atitlan, trying to learning more about retiring in Guatemala part-time. I have traveled from Europe. I've traveled through Europe 3 times and have had enough of it. I don't think I'm heading back anytime soon, and that's for sure. I have traveled most of Central America and fell in love with the villages of Atitlan, and of course the weather is just frickin' awesome. Lake Atitlan is at 1,500 meters above sea level, or about 500 feet above sea level, and in the tropics, if you can find this elevation, it's practically paradise. So I'm always looking for these places. When I was in Vilcabamba, it was the same elevation. I spent most of my time in San Pedro, La Laguna. Crazy, but loved it, seeing that I am still hanging on to some of my hippie roots. Lake Atitlan is kind of like a hippie hangout for years and years and years, and probably maybe even a settlement during the... it's been, you know, San Pedro is more or less the place to go smoke marijuana in Central America for years, so it's a little slower now. They kind of cut down on it, but in Panachel, then onto the ruins of Tikal. Tikal's ruins that are comparable to their small version of the Egyptian thing, and they're much better than what is it, Siem Reap, what do you call these, the Cambodia ones. I gotta think of the name. Okay, I'm 54 and not far behind you in age. I also worked in real estate, but as an inspector and certified appraiser. I am dating a woman from Odessa, Ukraine, and is wondering where you're headed to in Ukraine. Okay, where I'm going to in Ukraine is pretty much, let me go on the next page here. Looking forward to seeing your videos. I've never been to Ukraine, but I can tell you the women are hot from my personal experience. Okay, the Ukraine is... I'm actually coming from Bucharest, Romania, then I'm going across to Moldova, and then there's a little country like Tristaria or something like that that is not really on the map that I'm going to go to, because Jerome, my travel agent, made a special request that I stop there and make a video. And it's like a rogue country. There's 2 of these rogue countries I'm going to visit, one down by Georgia or something, and the other in which is south. Georgia is south of Ukraine. But I don't really know where I'm going. I won't book hotel rooms until, hostels until I get real close. What I am happy to know is that it's very cheap. It's going to be like less than €5 a night for a hostel, if they're still open. There is a problem here that some of the hostels in Europe's closed. But I'm going to totally wing it, and if you have any suggestions on places, of course, you know, let's see, what is it, the east thing is, they have some problems, right? But I'm very far from that, and everybody seems, Kiev seems to be a big city, but I'm very open to going about anywhere. But obviously not obviously, but I have a flight from Kiev to Georgia, like some city in Georgia, Kutaisi, some Wizz Air flight. So it's real cheap. It's like €50 to get from each one of these places, or less. And so I'm just doing this freeform. I do my darndest to not make reservations, because the bad thing about a reservation is that the reservation is just like having a job. The job controls your life. A reservation or an airplane ticket controls my life. So I don't make hostel reservations until about 3 days before I go, which makes it kind of hard to cancel them if I wanted to change, but I more or less am committed before I go there. So when I'm just about ready to make a trip to a place, I'll make the hostel reservation. But I have to do a land trip between Moldova, the country of Moldova, which is, there's a which is really interesting to me because it's one of the poor countries in Europe, and actually Ukraine is one of the poor countries, so this should be comparable to, you know, almost exactly comparable to the wage scale is South America or Southeast Asia or Africa where I go. So that means, and then, you know, couple that with the idea that some of these Russian girls or Ukraine girls want to, you know, go to the United States, that makes it kind of a good place for me for girls, right? I'll be, you got to listen to the song Back in the USSR by the Beatles. That's definitely, the Ukraine girls really keep their boys hot or warm or something at night. Keep the boys warm at night. But I always think of this song, Back in the USSR. I'm actually, when I leave, I'm not sure exactly the transition point, but somewhere along the line when I go from, maybe it's in Romania or maybe it's when I go over to Moldova, but that's when you really just leave Europe behind and you're taking on a whole different culture. And the European culture is not radically different than American culture, and it's not, in a lot of ways, not that interesting. I mean, the historical stuff is sort of interesting, but at the same sense, they're wearing relatively the same clothes, they're dressing the same, they're talking the same, they're acting the same. I'll give an example, and I didn't get to check it out, but when I was in Bulgaria, my friend Jerome, the travel agent that helps me all the time, I pay consulting fees to, told me that when they say no, they shake their, when they say no, they nod like this, and when they say yes, they're going like this. I didn't get a chance to see it because I didn't really meet any that many Bulgarian people. It's really a problem in Europe staying in hostels. You don't meet the local people. I think the transition to get into understanding the local thing is to spend 20 or 30 days. As it stands right now, the only countries that I'll probably I'm even considering spending a month or two would be in probably Ukraine, Moldova, or Bulgaria. And it's because the culture is radically different. When a culture is radically different, they're actually more welcoming. I mean, they're more interested, they're more curious. But I'm here in Malta right now, spending 10 days more or less on a vacation. I thought it was going to be on a beach vacation. I'll show you this. There's really not a beach here. There's kind of a place where people sit and do it, but the actual beach is pretty, there's supposed to be a beach called Hangover Beach over that way. I'm not sure if that's a nickname for it or it's actually just my hostel. I'm staying at the Hostel Malti, which is a perfect place to stay because there's a lot of people and they're actually staying longer than 2 days here, so this is a good thing about the hostels in Malta. They're coming for things, but I'm real happy to be here, and but I'm going to be real excited to go to the Ukraine. The bad part is that it's going to be kind of cold, so, but I'll fly then from Kiev to Georgia, then down into Armenia, and then make my way over to Turkey. Andy Graham, Hobo Traveler in Malta.